The Quadruple Double Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Quadruple Double. This is our very own basketball podcast that we created, fueled by our passion for the NBA and everything related to basketball. In today's episode, we will be discussing prevalent issues in today's NBA, and in future episodes, we'll be doing the same as well as historical debates. I'm your host, Srinivas Anantanarayanan. And I'll give a minute for the other analysts to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Petersick. I'm currently a junior at the Hotchkiss School in New England. I was at UWC until grade 10. Was two-time CSAC MVP and loved playing with my boys Max and Ara.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Maximilian Clausius. I just graduated as a senior from UWC in Singapore. And I've been the starting point guard at UWC for 3 years, two-time CSAC MVP, most improved player. You know what it is. Yeah.
Ox.
Hi everyone, I'm Arya. I've been in the CSAC teams for 5 years. I joined in grade 8. I was the captain since grade 9 and 3-time MVP, 2-time most improved player, and also most contributed to sport and sportsman of the year in our school, UWC. I also graduated this year.
Shut up.
And welcome to Quadruple Double.
I'll just take a minute to let you guys know my basketball accomplishments. I was on track to becoming a CSAC champion like Max and Arya. Okay, anyways, let's get on with the show. So first up, we're going to talk about the season hiatus. Obviously, COVID-19, unprecedented circumstances. What do we think about the first lockdown since 2011? Max, do you have anything to say about this?
Surely not lockdown, surely lockout.
Lockout.
Obviously rather inconvenient. I think this season was also like one of the first seasons in a while. one of the first seasons in a while where there was not a clear cut like favorite. Like for the last few years, really, it's just been dominated by the Warriors, despite the upset from the Raptors. So it was definitely disappointing to see it come to a stop. We don't know if it'll continue or not. But yeah, the season was really like, I don't know, it was really, really fun to watch this year. So yeah.
Arya, do you have anything to say?
I didn't hear much because Dada came and interrupted me, but I guess like the season was peaking, but due to COVID-19 we had to stop, and I don't think it will continue. The situation in America is appalling, and I think it will finish as a null and no team will win.
Nico?
Yeah, as Max said, it was a really interesting season. I would say there's like 6 or 7 teams that really had a chance, and it was a really balanced league this year. And I was enjoying watching it, so it was really a shame that it got cut short. Yeah.
So I think the common consensus is it's better to just put the season to a null and not continue it, right? I presume.
I mean, if the situation gets better, then obviously we'd all rather that they can, I don't know, pick it up from there and maybe start the playoffs immediately. But just judging by what we're seeing in America, I don't think that'll happen. So in that case, obviously they can't deem anyone a champion for the season because that'd just be unfair. So yeah, putting the season as a null would make sense. But yeah.
Dinkum.
Yeah. I would currently say that America has larger problems that are bigger than basketball, including their president, which is quite rough. And I really hope that they can fix it, but I really don't think that there's any benefit of putting people into an arena where they could get sick. So I would agree that I don't think the season should continue.
In the
What
case
do you
of,
guys think?
go on,
What do you guys
Arya,
think
go on.
if then, like, if the regular season continued, or the playoffs continued, they'd switch to a 5-game series or 3-game or like 7? I don't know.
I think that they would have to, especially with all the other sports seasons starting, they would have to shorten it a little bit. So I think that a three game series would work. I also think that that would be the best way to finish it if it starts up again.
Agreed.
Okay, interesting. Just another question. If the NBA does decide to continue, obviously the first, I would say, first 5 or 6 seeds in each conference would be a lock. But the last remaining 2 seeds, it's always a contention up to the last regular game of the season. How would that be decided? Or would there be less teams in the playoffs? Would you think?
No, I think they definitely have an 8 team from each conference playoff like usual. I guess, I mean, in the East, there's a bit of a gap difference between the Magic and the Wizards, 8th and 9th. But obviously still it's not fair because it's not like confirmed, but I think they would just cut it off. I think that's the right thing to do as well.
Fair enough.
I would agree.
But in the West, I believe that the Pelicans were gonna make the 8th seed over the Memphis
Certainly
Grizzlies.
not.
I mean,
Arya-
Lonzo Ball and
Zan effect.
Our analyst Arya here is a very big fan of Lonzo Ball. The fellow analyst, especially Max, doesn't agree with his viewpoint. He feels, if I'm not wrong, you feel like Lonzo Ball. Do you feel like he was a bust?
I feel like in his rookie season, he showed us signs that he was not a bust, and there was definitely hope. But from his rookie season, his numbers have not gotten any better in any means. Even after, I mean, I
his
guess
shooting percentages and his free throw percentage and
his shooting
win
percentages
shares.
and his percentages, but his averages have not gone up by any
I mean, he
means.
changed his mechanics. Let the man live. He's only 21.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, we can discuss this another time.
Yeah, this is a hotly debated topic. Sure, another episode we can discuss it. Anyways, I want to hear your guys' opinions on if, luckily, we're fortunate enough to see the playoffs continue and we get to a finals, who would you think would play in the finals and eventually who do you think would win if the season was to go ahead as normal?
My finals matchup would have to be the Celtics versus the Clippers. I think they're two really deep teams, and I think that really counts in the playoffs because, like, especially in the normal format for the playoffs, when you're playing 7 games, you really need that depth coming off the bench. And I think that the Clippers would take that in 6 because I think their star power with Kawhi and Paul George would be a bit too much for the Celtics to handle. But so that's Clippers in 6.
Do you think the Clippers would come out of the West over the Lakers?
I would think that the Clippers would come out because the Lakers, I think they would get tired. I think they're extremely top heavy. When LeBron doesn't play, they almost have a negative plus minus, which is not a good sign. And LeBron is like he had a break with the lockout, but he is 35. I think there would be some wear and tear on his body come the Western Conference Finals, and I don't think that they would get to the finals.
Deep benches, bench mob like you, Nico. Get it.
Bench mob.
All right. So for my finals matchup, I had the Lakers and the Celtics, and I had the Lakers to win LeBron James Finals MVP. So I thought that the Lakers would beat the Celtics, and it would be a similar scene to the Cavs Celtics Eastern Conference Finals matchup in 2018. But I say the Lakers win in 6. The reason I say that the Celtics advance to the finals over for the Bucks, for example, is that this season when the Celtics played the Bucks, they played a 2-3 zone, and that would work. I think that would work strongly in the playoffs against the Bucks, as obviously the Celtics don't really have a player that's long and quick enough to guard Giannis, and with Marcus Smart's tenacity on defense and athletic wings in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I think that defensive scheme would work well against Giannis and the Bucks. And I'd take the Lakers over the Clippers. I think the Lakers' size is not something the Clippers can match, and the Clippers just simply don't have enough bigs to put a body on both McGee, AD, and Dwight. Although the Clippers did sign Marcus Morris, which to me was a very smart signing to mimic the Celtics matchup in 2018 to guard LeBron. Additionally, I don't think the Clippers would take down the Lakers simply because they have Kawhi, but I don't think you can trust PG in the playoffs anymore. It seems every year he just doesn't perform in the playoffs. So yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I had the Clippers versus the Bucks in the finals. Mainly I chose the Bucks over the Celtics because the Celtics are just too young. Like Jason Tatum is just entering his superstar stage, and I don't trust Kemba in the playoffs completely. And Giannis is just like too overpowered, and he could break that 2-3 zone max. And
I mean, you never know.
like last year's playoffs, the Celtics tried everything on him, and they lost in 6 or 5 games. I don't know. But
They also had Kyrie's ass on the team still, though.
yeah, but Kyrie, to be fair, Kyrie is a bit of a bum and kind of a black sheep in the Celtics legacy. I also chose the Clippers over the Lakers because, like, similar reasons to Nick, like LeBron is old and they're a bit too top heavy, and Clippers aren't as small as you think with like Montrezl Harrell and Paul. I guess Kawhi could also guard LeBron quite well. He locked him up the last 2 games.
I don't know about that. Last matchup, the Lakers beat the Clippers.
Yeah, but like.
And Montrezl Harrell is like 6'7" or like 6'9" or something.
Yeah,
He's not
but
very
he's
tall.
a unit. He's a
But
unit.
Zubac.
Okay, Zubac is
Zubac.
7 foot. That's their one center, and he can't guard AD.
Okay, AD is an issue. I get that.
AD.
Like no one can guard AD in the league.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, but it's not like they're winning every game because they have AD.
Yeah, but partially.
No, it would be a good series. That would be my favorite series to watch in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Interesting you brought up Kyrie, Nick. I just want to ask, next year when, Kyrie and hopefully KD returns from injury, how do you think the Nets will fare in the grand scheme of things?
I feel like it could go really well or really badly. I feel like they're two players that have very strong personalities, and it will depend on how they gel. I think that the Kyrie and LeBron is a very different than Kyrie and Kevin Durant because, as we know, I think Kevin Durant is not as good of a teammate, and he doesn't bring people up as well as LeBron does. So I feel like they could have chemistry issues. But surrounding them, they also have quite a strong lineup that would support them very well. So if they can get it together, I could see them being a one seed or a 2 seed in the East.
I think it's interesting that, both players kind of want that glory on their own. And, Kyrie on the Cavs didn't get that with LeBron. He was like called his son. And, KD will always be called a snake for being on the Warriors and winning 2 championships with the Splash Bros. So I think putting them two together is not the wisest of decisions. What do you think, Max?
Personally, I don't think they'll gel well. Already, I don't remember who it was, but I think it was Joe Harris who said that since Kyrie took the point guard position over D'Angelo Russell on the Nets, he said there's definitely been like a change in the locker room ambience. So I just don't know if Kyrie Irving will ever find his like his true self like from the Cavaliers days, just because of that personality issue. I actually think he's kind of delusional. So I don't know.
Yeah, we've already seen Kyrie after he came back from an injury. I think we saw him already calling out his teammates. So obviously he hasn't learned from his Celtics days where he like effectively ruined the team. So we'll see how he does in the coming future.
I think KD like needs to step up as a leader on the team to like kind of tame Kyrie. Otherwise, they'll still be a good team. Like it's KD and Kyrie. They're not they're not bums. So they'll still qualify like for the like playoffs. They'll still go to the Eastern Conference Finals. But like essentially, a team is built to make the finals and beat like LeBron or the Clippers. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that happening.
You know,
Yeah.
Spencer Dinwiddie is nice
they're-
though.
Yeah, but they're also coming like KD's also coming off Achilles tear, and he's not like he was just like he's still in his prime, but I don't know how good he's gonna be off his Achilles tear.
Yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie, I agree, is nice, but the problem is like he's been put a bit more in the spotlight this season because Kyrie Irving was out for so long with injuries. But I think it might end up in a similar situation to Terry Rozier, where he wants his own team. He wants to be that starting point guard, have a bigger role. So I don't know. He might have to go to like a less competitive team because I don't think there's room for Kyrie and Spencer Dinwiddie.
That's a good point. He's averaging 20 this year. He's definitely not doing that when Kyrie's back.
Yeah.
You know, interesting. You bring up locker room issues and chemistry issues. The three analysts on the show are seasoned high school basketball veterans, and I want to ask you from your personal experience: have you guys ever experienced any chemistry issues, locker room issues, which have affected on-court performance? If you have any stories to share, please do tell.
I mean, we had some serious bots on our team sometimes. I remember in like grade 5 when we had these two Korean brothers, and they just didn't know how to dribble. They just kept walking with the ball. It was quite difficult to play with them.
Yeah.
Also,
it was-
I'm going to call out one of Aria's Costaru boys, Satwig Kyle, set a pick on me when I was on his team in grade 5. Didn't appreciate that.
It's all fun and games to talk about elementary school, but let's talk about high school. We don't need a name. We don't need to name names, for the privacy of your fellow players, unless it's one
Yes.
of you three. But I would like to hear, and I think our viewers would love to hear,
Yeah, I've got a personal anecdote I'd like to share
over the
about
course
my
of
high school.
CSAC,
CSAC,
Max,
CSAC.
would you like to share anything?
So in my sophomore year, we played CSAC in Bangkok, and a certain Korean player on our team had a bit of beef, as one might say, with our fellow Australian assistant coach. And yeah, so I don't know, it created an interesting dynamic, as well with our head coach, definitely with our head coach. So yeah, it just created an interesting dynamic, especially after losing, being knocked out in the semifinals. There was a lot of finger pointing in the locker room.
Yeah, and locker room issues, you need a leader to step up, and especially that sophomore year. I don't know if we had a personal team leader, so.
Yeah, Nick was supposed to be the leader, but he just couldn't hack it.
Yeah,
What
and
about,
Aria did.
But
what about-
it didn't help that my point guard got an ear injury, so he couldn't play in my biggest tournament of the year.
I played. Your point guard played.
My
Also,
backup
our
point guard.
head coach was quite delusional and like I don't know, like he was quite the character. And although like I don't know, he had some weird drills that never made sense and like weird theories, but it kind of brought the team together because we'd all like make fun of him and stuff. Yeah.
Interesting take.
What about the championship year? Were there any issues on the road to success?
I wouldn't really say like issues or non-issues, or like whether there was issues or no issues. I don't think it really would matter because the whole division were full of bots. Like everyone was so bad. It was quite a commanding victory.
There was
Yeah,
only
I
issues
would
with
agree.
like homecoming and SAS, but that was
I mean, as a fan and a pretty invested supporter of the team, I was hearing a lot of chatter about the selections of that CSAC team. I heard that some players were selected over others based on their age, not based on their talent or technique. Do you care to comment on that?
No, can we get back to NBA discussion?
Sure enough. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wow.
shout out to Nivid.
All right, we don't name names. Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about season awards. I think this is probably one of the most discussed things on NBA shows. We're gonna go with the big one first. MVP. What do you guys
Me.
think?
Who shall go first?
Max, you can go first.
All right. MVP, I put Giannis. I just think this season he's just been, this season, last few seasons, he's just been absolutely dominant. I don't think there's many defensive schemes that can really stop him. And once again, averaging crazy numbers, 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists. And just incredible efficiency as well. He also started shooting the 3 ball a bit better this season, which is nice yet scary to see. I do want to say LeBron. I'm a big LeBron fan, but I just think Giannis's team success has just been incredible. Just being able to win and win and win, especially providing his supporting cast is not nearly as good as LeBron's supporting cast, with Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe being the next best players. And yeah, also LeBron is averaging 26, 8, and near 11 assists, which the numbers are a bit similar, but I just think that the defensive side of things edges him over LeBron. So yeah, Giannis.
Yeah, I agree with Max. I think there's only one option for this year. I think Giannis is just on a different level in the regular season than everyone else. And what really stands out to me is that he's putting up the stats that Max mentioned on 31 minutes a game. And that is just ridiculous. LeBron, meanwhile, is playing almost 35 minutes a game. So if you imagine Giannis' stats for 36 minutes, he would be averaging nearly 35 points, nearly like 16 rebounds, and nearly like 7 assists, which is just ridiculous.
Nico,
So,
I've got a question for you.
Yeah, Bobby.
So earlier when we were talking about the championship, your championship favorite, you said in the playoffs you don't think LeBron, because of their lack of bench, you don't think LeBron can play you think he'll get tired, basically. That's what you said.
Yeah.
That he's playing 35 minutes every game. No sense of load management, which has definitely been a controversial topic this season. And we don't really see him slowing down this season at all. So
I think the playoffs is a different beast. It's a different level of intensity compared to the regular season. And I also think that when as it's a 7-game series, the opponent can really lock in and make a game plan specifically for LeBron. So I think they could focus on that, and that would expose maybe his lack of fitness or some facet of his game.
I don't think it's lack of fitness, but
Yeah.
he's there's multiple people on the Clippers that could I don't say guard, but maintain or try to stop him.
Yeah.
So
or you could just have multiple people running around.
He's not
the
gonna
whole
play
time.
he's not gonna play any bots a lot. So he's playing Kawhi, he's playing Marcus Morris, he's playing Montrezl Harrell. It won't be easier for him, and he might get tired in a 7-game series.
there it
Or
is.
he just
Interesting.
And Aria, who was your MVP?
It was Giannis as well.
No,
I just think that what he does on the defensive side and offensive side is just unmatched in the NBA.
Do any of you think that Max being a Dallas Mavericks fan, that Luka Doncic, if the season continued and we got to the playoffs, that he would contend for MVP?
Me as a Mavericks fan, I think definitely not. He at the start of the season, he actually performed a lot better than towards the end of the season. Towards the end of the season, he started shooting a lot more inefficiently. But I mean, obviously, that's not to take away credit from him. He still had a fantastic season, leading the Mavericks to pretty much a guaranteed playoff position. But I just don't think he's at that MVP stage yet. He's right below it. So yeah.
Yeah, one comment on Luka is I think he's slightly overrated as a shooter. He shoots 32% from 3. I mean, that's decent, and 75% from the free throw line. And I think to really get to that MVP caliber, he has to be putting up 50, 40, and 90 club, just because of the type of player he is. And he's not at that stage yet, but I can definitely see him getting there.
Yeah, his shot selection, especially down the stretch of games, his shot selection is really, it's horrible. So at times it can be horrible. And it's all nice when he hits that step back 3 in the clutch, but the amount of times he takes it and misses it, if you don't watch the highlights, you'd see it's definitely something to work on.
So you guys don't think he's the MVP, but moving on to the most improved player, he was rookie of the year last year, but do you think he can? Do you think he's one of the lead candidates? He was one of the lead candidates to get most improved player, if not MVP.
I put him as the most improved player in the league. I mean, he increased his points, assists, rebounds. Although like his shooting percentage is a bit like sus. He also brought the Mavericks from a playoff, like a barely a playoff team, to like a solid like 7th or 6th seed. I mean, they were the 4th or 5th seed at the start of the season, but I
They're
think
like the second
he got
seed at a time.
he had a thumb injury, and like I don't think
Yeah.
he's like fully recovered.
Yeah.
So yeah, like yeah. What's their record? Like 40 and 20. Yeah, 40 and 27. Yeah. Oh,
For most
my
improved
runner-up most improved player was
sorry.
also Lonzo Ball. Just like his impact in game, like him and Zion, his assist numbers increased to 9.8 with Zion, and like
I don't
he
think
struggled before.
I don't think it's most improved like from the start of the season to the end of the season, mate.
Yeah, but like from last year to this year,
Hasn't his numbers gone down?
I'm talking about impact. Basketball about winning games, mate.
Okay, yeah. That's why they're
his
playoff.
stats have gone up. His stats have gone up.
Okay. My most improved player, although again I wanted to say Luka Doncic, being a Mavericks fan, I put Brandon Ingram. I think it was his breakout year this season, and the reason I didn't put Luka Doncic is, like I said earlier, towards the end of the season so far, his efficiency shooting the ball got a bit worse, and I mean Brandon Ingram's stats went from last year they were like 18 points per game, 5 rebounds and 3 assists to 24, 6 and 4. And also he's now on a new team with the Pelicans, and he's finally found his role, being that go-to player, which he never really had that opportunity on the Lakers. And first time All-Star for him as well. And yeah, he's also a player that the Pelicans go to often in the clutch, which is
Yeah, like Max, I picked a player who was kind of a role player last year, but it's emerged into an all-star this year, which is Bam Adebayo. Going from averaging 8 and 7 to 16 and 10 is like a really good statistical performance. But I think where it is shown the most is is in the Miami Heat's record, and they missed the playoffs last year. They were the 10th seed with a 39 and 43 record, but right now they're sitting at the 4th seed with a 41 and 24 record. And like in part, I think it's Jimmy Butler, but I think really the turnaround is being Bam Adebayo, just playing at like a different level. I think he's one of the most versatile players in the league this year, and he's shooting 56% from the floor, which is like really good. And I think that to solidify himself as like a all-star every year, he has to work a bit on his three-point shot, and I think he could be one of the perennial like a Siakam in the league, like an all-star starter.
Thanks for your input, Nick. Moving on to sixth man of the year. Can I hear your guys' thoughts on this? Max,
yeah.
if you will.
I put Derrick Rose. I think for a lot of people the obvious answer would be Lou Will again, but I just think this season the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard and PG on the team, I think his significance on the Clippers team has fell a bit. And I don't know, Derrick Rose to me just this season, he hit a lot of game winners, a lot of big shots for the Pistons, and he's averaging I think like 18 points. So I think his role on the Pistons has been crucial, which is why I'm giving it to Derrick Rose.
My sixth man was another point guard. I had Dennis Schroeder for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I think he just like a big spark plug off the bench, and I think he's willed like being a large part of why the Thunder are now in a playoff position. He actually averages more points than Chris Paul at 19 points per game on really, really good efficiency. So I think that we've seen him thriving in the six-man role. And yeah, I think that the Thunder were definitely a team that could have surprised a higher seed in the playoffs just because of how well balanced they are and because of their bench, which is in a large part Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, I also had Dennis Schroeder as my pick just because of OKC's record and like them being underdogs and him like just fighting and also just scoring the basket off the bench. Like bench scoring is quite important in OKC, as Chris Paul is more facilitator and him working along Chris Paul and just like I guess he's like less selfish as he had a role at the Hawks as a starting point guard, averaging like 30 to 35 minutes a game, and now like kind of moving down to a 6-man role and like learning from Chris Paul. So I think like although he is a 6-man, I think he could work his way up when Chris Paul like eventually retires and he takes over the OKC.
Yeah, and I think he's definitely embraced that role really well. Especially, I think this is his third year on the Thunder, right? If I'm not mistaken, something like that.
Second.
Really? Oh, okay. So I think definitely playing behind Russell Westbrook has like put him into that role. I think playing behind Russell Westbrook would be a bit frustrating. I feel like
Yeah.
he plays like the full game and he doesn't. A bit of a ball hog, but yeah.
Yeah, and his efficiency is he's shooting nearly 47% from the field and 38% from three, which is like a lot better than he has been shooting in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, nice to hear those inputs from you guys. Now moving on to what I find the most hotly debated, award of the year, rookie of the year. It's obviously between the first and second pick. Zion was sidelined from the start of the season. He returned recently and has already put up amazing numbers. He's averaging more than Ja Morant, the second pick, in every stat, if I'm not mistaken, except for Ja is over him in assists. So, Zion has played less time than him, but I think we can all agree that if he had, started from game one, there would be no discussion. But since Ja has played so much more than him, has had an impact on the league, what do you guys think? Who do you think should be awarded Rookie of the Year? Nico.
I had Ja. Yeah, for the simple fact, as you said, I don't think Zion has played enough games. 19. I think if he played nearly half the season, or maybe even just 30 games and like averaged the same numbers, I would have given him the award. But I mean, Ja has his team in the playoffs right now, which is something that Zion also did not have time to do. And he's averaging 17, 7, and 3, which are really good numbers. And he's just like a joy to watch. I mean, like his explosiveness and his like quick shifts to speed are something that I think will establish him as a really good point guard in the league. Like kind of a mesh between Westbrook and like Kemba. And I think he's also a better shooter than like Westbrook. So I think he could really thrive as both an attacking driver and also if he develops his jump shot even more as like a spot up shooter. And also, for Ja, I also think that in order for him to have a really good career, he just needs to work on landing off 2 feet because a lot of the times I see him landing on 1 foot and just it has like a really high potential for injury. So yeah, Ja Morant is my rookie.
Yeah, so I put Kendrick Nunn. No, just kidding. So I thought Kendrick Nunn's take on himself, like he said he should be the Rookie of the Year. I thought it was just ridiculous. And the Rookie of the Year award's never gone to like the most winningest team. So yeah, I think that was just a bit silly. So I put Ja Morant as well. Like both of you said, it was only really a race between Ja and Zion. But Zion, I thought like if the season was to continue or never came to a hiatus and Zion kept playing games, maybe the Rookie of the Year award could have gone to him, but he missed the first 44 games of the season before making his like professional debut. So I kind of see it as like the Joel Embiid situation in 2017 where Malcolm Brogdon won the award, even though Embiid put up way better numbers. So yeah, definitely Ja Morant.
Yeah, I also had Ja Morant just because like the way he plays and him just like putting his team in a playoff spot, even though his like supporting cast isn't as good as the Pelicans, I guess. Because when Zion was playing, they still had a losing record. Like I know he was on a minute restriction, but like Zion, I believe is like a way better player, but like not way better, but a better player. Like he could be a better player, has a much higher ceiling, but just for this year, Ja Morant just had like more time and more like ways of showing us that he should be the Rookie of the Year.
Interesting. So I think we can all say that we agree that if Zion had played from game one without any injuries, he would be the Rookie of the Year, and he put up the same numbers.
But like also Zion is very injury prone just
That's
because of
true.
his weight and
That's
the
true.
way he jumps as well.
He's a big
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, to put it into context, like Joel Embiid played 31 games and he lost, and Zion only played 19.
Fair enough. And just adding onto Zion, I want to hear your opinion on when you hear Zion Williamson as a rookie, no one kind of generates that hype. It's similar to LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Where do you? I know it's early days, but do you guys see his success reaching to the level of those two?
Personally, I don't. I think in terms of being a raw athlete, definitely. But I just don't think he has like equal basketball skills as LeBron James and Michael Jordan had as rookies. Like I just don't see that comparison.
Like I would definitely agree with Max, but then again, I did not even think that Zion would be averaging. He's averaging 23 right now. I didn't think he would be averaging like 15 points. So I've learned not to underestimate him, and I think if he can rein in that like injury proneness, then he could definitely be a Hall of Famer and like definitely up there in one of the greatest of all time discussions.
He certainly has the hype for it, but I'm like not too sure, or I'm not kind of like getting into the hype of him becoming as good as LeBron or Michael Jordan, because like he doesn't play like them. He doesn't have like, he's more comparison to like real time now, like Blake Griffin with the same athleticism. Like I guess that is his like potential, but he has a much higher ceiling of like kind of revolutionizing the power forward / center position, just because of his like different like body type and just athleticism itself.
Yeah, I would say the historical player that he would compare most to right now is Charles Barkley, who was like probably a top 30 basketball player of all time. So, I mean, if he even reaches Charles Barkley, I mean, that's like a really good standard.
Okay, now moving on to our final two segments. We added these, these are not usually discussed on podcasts, but we're trying to revolutionize the NBA podcast game. So
It's really not two. There's so many more.
there's two more.
There's Coach of the Year,
Oh, no,
Defensive
there's
Player of the Year.
oh yeah. Sorry,
Fourth.
my apologies. I wasn't on the original plan. Okay, Defensive Player of the Year. What do you guys think?
I mean, I said 80. 2.4 blocks per game, 1.5 steals per game. He's really lengthy. What is he, like 6'11", quite a long wingspan, and just I think he can guard multiple positions. And yeah, you definitely see his defensive presence when you watch a Lakers game. Yeah. 80.
I had a controversial pick, and I went for Ben Simmons. I think that he can guard all 5 positions, and he's third in deflections, second in loose balls, and leads the league in steals right now. So I think that just shows that as like a 6'9" guard, he can like disrupt anyone from the 1 to the 4. I also think that he has a lot more potential. Like I feel that sometimes we don't see him applying himself fully in games, and I feel like if he changes that, he would definitely be the Defensive Player of the Year.
So like Max, I also picked AD just because of him carrying like the Lakers defense and like kind of leading it, and because LeBron doesn't really play defense in the regular season, so he's kind of the quarterback in this situation, and Lakers defense is like the best, I think second or third in defensive rating, and yeah, he's just averaging like 2.1 blocks and also getting steals, which is respect.
2.4.
2.4, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, nice to hear that. And for Coach of the Year, I'm interested to hear what you guys think of that.
For my coach of the year, I had Nick Nurse for the Raptors, as the Raptors are still the 46-18 and the second seed in a really competitive Eastern Conference. And doing this without Kawhi Leonard, who is your best player by a mile last year, is really impressive, because that means that you have to totally change your offensive and defensive game plan, as Kawhi is one of the most well-rounded players in the NBA. Also, like, I think he's really helped with the emergence of certain like younger players, and like the Raptors are one of the most well-balanced teams in the league, with I think like nearly 5 players averaging over 16 points a game. And like, yeah, like Norman Powell, Serge Ibaka, Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam are all averaging over 16. So it shows how he's like really, like, he knows how to get his players into positions to score the ball, even though they might not be like as much of a star as players on other teams.
Mm-hmm. So actually, I was thinking Nick Nurse. That was at first my winner for this award, but I didn't do it. I chose Frank Vogel from the Lakers, because I think although, like Nico said, that Kawhi Leonard moving to the Clippers, it was a big piece. Leaving the Raptors, I think the Lakers have like completely, like, their whole team has changed completely with that big like AD trade. So yeah, I said Frank Vogel. I said, it's a new team as well for him, coming from the Magic, and he just successfully fused the new pickup of AD with LeBron, and even took the jump.
AD and LeBron just did that themselves, though.
Okay,
Sure
and he took the jump to trust LeBron at playing the point guard position, which is something many coaches haven't done. And yeah, the team success is unquestionable.
I had Mike
Oh, I'm sorry.
Budenholzer as a coach, just because of the Bucks like historical season, them like reaching 50 wins, the fastest ever in the NBA, and him just like kind of like emerging, like trying to put people together with Giannis to make the team work. They have quite a tall lineup with like Brook Lopez, Giannis playing together, and Robin Lopez, and also putting Chris Middleton together and Eric Bledsoe. Just the way he made it gel and made them look like an amazing team in the regular season was just like amazing to watch as well.
Yeah, it truly was amazing to watch. That wraps up our discussion of the usual coaches, player of the year. That wraps up that discussion. So we have 2 additional.
Three.
Three. What's the third one?
Most disappointing.
Almost okay. So we have 3 more segments, and these are most surprising player, most interesting trade, and most disappointing player. So we're gonna start off with most surprising player. And so what do you guys think?
All right, go first.
Like, as a Boston Celtics fan, I thought the most surprising player was Jason Tatum, just because like I didn't like watching him last year. I didn't expect him to put up I didn't expect him to increase his points per game even with Kemba in the team. I thought it'd be the same, and I thought he would kind of plateau as like a kind like the below superstar stage, and like average around 20 points per game every game. But like like the last 10 games he's played, he's averaged 30 points per game, and he's also been like he's the new Celtics face, and he's the new he's the like man in the Celtics, and he's only like 21 or 22 now. And I just like kind of I'm buying into the hype of him, and I just pray that he brings Celtics the championship.
So you said you thought he was gonna plateau at that below superstar stage. So are you saying now he's a superstar?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, interesting.
If I may add, I think
he averaged 30 points per game in the last 15 games.
Yeah, Damian Lillard averaged like 50 points in a stretch of games.
You don't think Damian Lillard is a superstar?
No, I do, but that's a stretch of games.
Yeah, but Damian Lillard is
It's
a
so
superstar
tough.
though.
Jeremy
mean-
Lin averaged like
And
crazy
Damian
numbers.
Lillard's-
Jason Tatum's putting over 20
like,
points.
the
in
way-
one of those
the way-
balances in the
I think
league.
he's a star. Don't get me wrong, but not a superstar.
Damian Lillard's like entire team like revolves around him. Like he gets the ball majority of the
Yeah.
time. He
Yeah.
does like he shoots like 40.
Don't get me wrong.
30.
Jason Tatum's a great player. I think he's a star, but I don't think he's a superstar. I think you can only say there's like.
I think he reached his superstar stage.
I think
recently.
superstar is like that top 10 player. I don't think he's a top 10 player in the league.
He's coming for it. He's coming for it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not saying he won't, but I'm saying not right now.
Okay, let's save this top 10 discussion for another time. I personally think Carmelo Anthony has been the most surprising player of the year. You know, I think he's returned. He's not young, and he's done, you know, I feel incredibly well with the Portland Trail Blazers, with Damian Lillard, who we were just talking about. So, you know, what do you guys think about Carmelo?
Wait, surely let Nico answer his most surprising player first. We'll get back to
Go on.
Carmelo.
No. I'll answer Shrini's question. I think
Appreciate it.
Carmelo's been a good surprise this year because I think that he had some really disappointing stints at the like before joining the Blazers. I still feel though that he hasn't really contributed to team success as the Blazers were nearly a 4 seed. I think 4 seed last year maybe, and like granted like Nurkic was injured this season, but I think that they should still be at least a 6 seed for Carmelo to have really contributed to their team success.
Yeah, but I definitely think Whiteside filled Nurkic's like shoes quite well. I think he played a really good season this year.
Yeah, so obviously something is not working for the Blazers, and like it might be Carmelo, it might not be.
Although it was very beautiful to see that pull up again.
Yeah.
After a few years out.
Indeed.
What a wonderful set. Reminds me of myself.
All right, Max, do you want to go or?
More pull-up game.
Wait, did I not say it? Oh, I didn't say it. Shit. Okay. I can go. So for me, my most surprising player was CP3. I think a lot of people like took the Thunder and him out of the equation. People would have thought this was his down year due to his age. I think he's like 35 or so, 36, I don't know. Or 34, I don't know. Anyway, and I just think the way he was able to incorporate himself into like that new OKC team, and pretty much managed to secure a playoff spot almost. Yeah, I just thought that was great. Also, like an all-star again after since 2016 or so. And although his stats haven't been like, amazing, just his impact is something you can't see in the stats. And also, Steven Adams had a bit of a down year from like his previous years. I think he only averaged like 9 or 10 points. So CP3 really stepped up this year for the Thunder.
Yeah. So I had 2 most surprising players. One of them was Devontae Graham of the Charlotte Hornets. And like before this year, I don't think many people knew who Devontae Graham was. And now he's averaging 18.2 and 7.5. And he's really established himself as, I think, the best, in my opinion, the best player on a struggling Hornets team. And also he's put himself in front of Terry Rozier, who's a competent point guard, but Devontae Graham has just been better this year. And then my second player was Christian Wood, who I think got pulled off of waivers by the Detroit Pistons. And in the last, like, I know it's a small sample size, but in the last 10 games, he's been averaging 24.2 points on 58% shooting, which is just like really, really good. And yeah, like I don't think he's a player that most people have heard of. So it was nice seeing him having like a new resurgent start at Detroit.
Yep.
That wraps up our discussion for most surprising player. Let's now move on to the most surprising or interesting trade of the season. Nick, would you care to give your input on this?
Okay, so saying this season, mine was Clint Capella for Robert Covington and Jordan Bell. There are also some more like players involved, And like I thought this was such an interesting trade just because like the new direction that the Rockets were going in that's like unprecedented in NBA history. Like playing without a 5-man with their center now being PJ Tucker is just something that is like unheard of. And like it seems to be like working because recently they've had the second best offensive rating in the league. And I think Westbrook has been especially like really freed up because like he shoots most of his shots in the lane. Now he doesn't have a big man standing there. So he can just like kick it out to he can either like dunk it like or kick it out to PJ Tucker or Robert Covington who just rain down threes. So I think it would have been really interesting to see how that team would have like progressed. And yeah, that's why it was my most interesting trade.
Do you guys think that team would have worked like come playoff time? That Rockets team? I don't think so.
I don't think their original team would have worked either.
I mean, yeah, but yeah, I don't think it would have worked. I think they would have got deeper into the playoffs with that original team with Clint Capella. Personally, I didn't really understand the trade, but it was definitely it was really interesting to see.
Yeah, I was just looking at some stats like against the big teams like Celtics and like Jazz. Their center percentages were above 60% the entire time, which I don't think PJ Tucker could defend. Being their center right now, and I guess it gives the guards more time, like more ball percentage. But
yeah,
like I don't know if you could trust James Harden and Russell Westbrook to put similar stats up in the playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely think Mike D'Antoni has with the Rockets has an interesting philosophy.
I think it actually could have worked, but I mean, 2 years ago, I think, or like maybe 2 years ago in the playoffs, we saw them go 0 for 27 in one quarter. But I mean, if that doesn't happen again, their logic is like threes are worth more than twos. Like you have like PJ Tucker, who's the best corner 3-point shooter, James Harden, who's probably one of the best from like up top and just one of the best at creating his own shots. So I think it could have worked, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it could have worked, but I don't think it could have worked to an extent where they'd win a championship.
It wouldn't have worked against the Lakers or the Clippers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even Denver, which like kind of a dark horse.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the trade from when D'Lo got traded to the Timberwolves for Andrew Wiggins?
Oh, yeah, that was my most surprising.
Interesting.
Arya, please don't swear on the show.
Just beep it out.
He's gonna have to bleep this out.
Nah, I'm not editing this, please.
Interesting trade. I just like seeing I like the potential in the Timberwolves now with D'Lo and Cat, which like is Cat like who put insane numbers this year and has always put like quite like good numbers, and D'Lo kind of breaking out, and like we saw in his Brooklyn season that he can like lead a team, he can like he can assist the ball, he can push the ball, he can score the ball, and I think if he brings his like leadership skills and tries to like push this young team into a playoff position, even though the West is quite difficult, he could do it in the next 2 seasons. But like on the Golden State part, I don't really understand the trade. I don't know why they want Andrew Wiggins, and I don't know how they're gonna fit it with Curry or Clay.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point at the start of the season where I don't know how many games into the season, but Andrew Wiggins was averaging like 24 points, 25 points for quite a long time. But now I just checked, he's averaging like 19 points for the season. So he must have really hit some like down.
Yeah, but he's also playing with like real bots, like bots.
Yeah.
Like, Golden State Warriors are just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play many games with the Warriors. He played like, how many games did he play? What is it? 12 games.
Oh.
So definitely majority of the season on the Timberwolves. Oh, sorry, that's how much he was averaging there. Yeah, he was averaging 22.4 with the Timberwolves, which is not bad compared to his previous seasons.
But like for a number 1 draft pick and like a small forward who is supposed to like be a superstar. And what is he in his like 4th or 5th season?
Yeah.
Like he's supposed to be entering or be at that superstar stage.
Yes.
But the Warriors also got a 1st-round pick from the Timberwolves, which like considering that the Timberwolves didn't even make the playoffs, that could be
Did
like
they
pretty
get? Did they get the 2021?
So
This year's
the
one.
they'll get the pick as long as it's not top 3.
Oh, okay, that's pretty good
So
then.
like then like I think this draft class has some real like hitters. So if they could get one of those, that would be really good for them.
But like, are the Warriors trying to like rebuild? Like, I don't know.
I think like a James Wiseman type center could really help them like immediately.
Yeah, but I don't think if it can't be a top 3 pick, I don't think James Wiseman will fall that low.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty much a guaranteed top 3. But yeah,
Maybe they'll flip Andrew Wiggins and someone else.
it'll be interesting to see how the Warriors turn around, though. I don't know. I mean, what are they last?
Curry's also what, 32 now?
Yeah.
Leaving his prime.
But if they get 2 absolute gods in the draft, I could see them. Well, I mean, obviously they probably wouldn't be. I wouldn't call them a championship contender, but they could definitely like restart their rebuild extremely fast.
Yeah.
I don't think the Warriors will see another championship in the Steph Curry era.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah.
Unless they get like Giannis on free agency, which I'll just like shoot
yeah.
myself.
Yeah, unless they sign another superstar, they might. They could.
Before we move on to the final segment, I would just like to bring up.
Wait. Surely I haven't done my trade.
Oh, sorry. This is all new to me. I apologize, Max. Go on.
So my trade was the Iggy for Justice Winslow. I thought, everyone was just waiting for Iggy to move. Like, he was just like he was just waiting. And we all knew he was going to go to a contender. So, I don't know. I thought the Heat was interesting. I mean, I don't think anyone really thinks the Heat are a championship caliber team, but they're definitely up there. So I definitely think Iggy could have helped them, give them a nice playoff push. And also, I think Justice Winslow is a nice pickup for the Grizzlies because, the Grizzlies are starting to build up a nice young team with Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson, Dylan Brooks, Brandon Clark, and so on. So I think Justice Winslow, despite him having another somewhat disappointing season with the Heat, it's a good pickup for them.
Now, before we move on to the final segment, since we were talking about the Warriors in depth just now, Draymond Green said something recently that him, Steph, and Clay, really changed. If I'm not wrong, I don't remember the exact quotation, but they really changed the way basketball was. And obviously, we know that Clay and Steph revolutionized the game with their 3-point shooting. But what impact do you think Draymond Green really had on this, or do you think he had much of an impact?
Wait, did you say Draymond Green said him along with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, or just
them three?
We changed the game.
Yeah.
I think he's just being a bit arrogant there. I don't think he did much part. I mean, his 3-point shooting is not great to say the least. I think his significance on that Warriors team is great, but his significance in revolutionizing basketball is not great.
Yeah,
I would say
that was mainly Steph, I guess. Like more Steph than Clay.
Yeah, but still
Clay was more looked at like a catch and shoot 3-point.
Yeah.
Like just the way Steph played and dribbled and just
Yeah.
popped everything would just change the game.
Yeah, I don't really understand the Draymond Green part of things.
Draymond might have changed the NBA as he showed that a 6'7" guy can play the center position, and I think that opened up options for more floor spacing and different defensive strategies. So in that way, I would say that he changed the game, but not to the extent that
he helped space out he wasn't the greatest 3-point shooter, but he could if he was open, he could shoot it. So he definitely helped them on their way to a championship. But
in 2016, 2015, he could shoot the 3-ball really well, but I don't know what's happened to his jump shot.
He's had a terrible.
He wasn't a liability guarding the center, which was good.
Okay, now let's go on to the final segment. Most disappointing player of the year. Arya, care to go first?
I'm still thinking. Max, would you like to go?
Yeah, I said Blake Griffin. I mean, obviously last season, Blake Griffin, he averaged near 25 points per game. He was an all-star. And he, everyone was like, wow, he's developed such a great jump shot. He can shoot the three well. He's shooting efficiently on the Pistons. But, this season, the Pistons, third to last in the East, 20-46 so far. And he's averaging 15 points per game on horrible efficiency, shooting 35% from the field. And he's only played like 18 games due to injury. So I definitely think Blake Griffin for me.
I wasn't aware that Blake Griffin was shooting 35%. Otherwise, I would have probably picked him as well. But two players that have been disappointing to me are the man that we've just been talking about, Draymond Green. And like the Warriors, as we have explained before, are absolute bots. And he's scoring 8 points a game. Like he's meant to be the best player. He should definitely be having more of an impact than that. And he's shooting terribly. 38% from the field, 27% from three. Yeah, that's just not a good look. And then also in addition, a person who's definitely improved as the season has gone on, but who I expected to have more of an impact is Mike Conley on the Utah Jazz. He definitely started out the season pretty badly, and he right now he's definitely got his numbers up, but he's still shooting 40% from the field, which is not great. And that Utah team is really well balanced, so I think he should be shooting more efficiently than that.
Yeah.
Just to clarify for our viewers who don't play video games, a bot is someone who's dumb and does stupid stuff. So when we call players bots,
just bad.
Yeah, they're just bad in general. So yeah, just to clarify.
Yeah.
Mario, would you like to go?
Formed a consensus.
Mine was Gary Harris. Last season he put up he averaged almost 20 points. In this season he's averaging 10.2, and his role hasn't really changed in the Denver Nuggets, but I don't know what is going on with him, but he's just been in a bit of a slump this season. And I think if he were to up his points per game or just improve this season, Denver would be up there with the Clippers or the Lakers, just because their team is just so well balanced and so they have top tier a top tier center with Jokic facilitating the ball and scoring and rebounding.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Nuggets, Michael Porter Jr. finally played some games of basketball in the NBA, and I don't know. I thought I was quite pleasantly surprised with how he played. I think he's actually leading the Nuggets in 3-point percentage with 42%, which is actually, I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know. I just thought Michael Porter played pretty well definitely not up there on the all rookie teams, but just because of how little he played. But I think when he played, he definitely showed sparks of him having, a successful career in the NBA.
Yeah, and they're definitely still load managing him a lot. He's only playing 14 minutes a game.
He had a back injury, right?
Yeah. In college.
I think he could be really good. I think he could be an all-star maybe in 2 or 3 years. He just watching, if you haven't watched his high school highlights, he's one of the most dominant high school players that I've ever seen. So
I don't think he can emerge to be a star in the Denver Nuggets though.
Yeah.
There's just too many players that can score, and it's just not the way they play.
Yeah. Fine.
Okay, that wraps up our first episode of the Quadruple Double. Thank you for watching. If you have any ideas for future episodes, please let us know. Our next episode will be the GOAT discussion, MJ versus LeBron. I'm not too sure about Knicks.
Wait! Don't be so surely you can put some other Kobe and stuff in.
Oh, obviously, yeah. I mean, this is not just GOAT. Yeah, but from just to give you guys a bit of a taste, Nick, I don't know Nick's opinion personally, but I know Max's opinion, and I know mine and Arya's opinion. So it'll be a good discussion next week. So
right, that's good.
Yeah, and do you guys have anything to say?
Yeah, guys. I think coronavirus. Everyone should stay safe, stay home, and if you guys enjoy, be sure to drop a comment on any ideas you have for future discussions. Thanks, guys.
Please subscribe and hit the notification button. It'll be right here below.
Shitty editing.
All right. Bet. Thank you for watching. Thank you. Bye.